They need to win all of their games, and they're already up against a team that usually beats them, or at least has the upper hand. So I am expecting some potentially crazy things from compLexity.
Well, let's see. Right now, of course, they're not allowed Zed whatsoever. compLexity doing their research with the bans, though. Diana, Caitlyn being dropped out, Zed and Kale being taken away from compLexity so far. None of these are surprising just yet.
A lot of people have been taking Diana away from Scar, right? He hasn't been able to play it in like the past 6 weeks. Instead, he's been playing, I believe, Gragas, Kale, and 3 Zed games in a row. But because they were up against Nick Wu, Dignitas had to ban out Zed already. So these are pretty much just back and forth bans. The only interesting, like the most interesting thing about this is though, 2 of Scar's like 4 champions are Zed and Kale, and it's Dignitas who's actually banned those out. So he doesn't actually have much left here.
Well, I guess it's going to be up to him to find a new champion to play this time around. Renekton being dropped away from Kiwi Kid, of course, one of his favorite top laners. And now it's on Dignitas for the 6th and final ban here.
And against compLexity, you don't know what the 6th and final ban is. Like, maybe a Shen, because they wanted to keep it away from Nick Wu, but instead they just ban out Kha'Zix. And that's, like, I think Nick Wu had a couple good games on Kha'Zix. Chuper used to play it a lot for compLexity back when he wasn't replaced by Prolly yet.
Yeah.
And I guess that, you know, some just compLexity's going to have to react to.
Well, instead, though, compLexity has first picked away the Thresh. They want that one right off the bat, though, the support pick being grabbed.
That is something that we've seen a lot of in North America. Thresh is like pretty much a first pick if he's not banned. We were watching some OGN just before the show, and the Thresh was actually falling to like 4th or 5th pick in a lot of these games. Still highly contested, but he would fall in the picks fairly frequently. And over on Dignitas' side, the Nasus is a crumbs pick, right? He'll go lock of the Ion Solari, and he'll just do it with that.
Well, you mentioned the Shen ban earlier, and here you've actually got Shen grabbed away by Kiwi Kid to steal it away from Nick Wu.
And Kiwi Kid has actually had a bit more of an up and down year than we realized, because at the start of the year, he was looking a little shaky. Then he had that amazing streak of games on Elise where he was 1v1ing everyone, destroying Voyboy. And then last week was actually a little strange because Kiwi Kid started playing Assassins when he's been playing tanks all year, and now he's back to tanks on Shen. So I like that choice for Dignitas, kind of getting back to what got them here.
Well, and instead, though, we've got compLexity looking at now their responses, because you know, I feel like, you know, the bans come through and you're like, okay, cool, we can get Shen, we can get this, we can get that. Oh, crap, Shen got taken away. And so they're taking a good amount of time, and there we go, Gragas and Misfortune.
That's really, really smart, because the last champion that Scar would have left would be Gragas. So Prolly can just take that completely away from him, because what we've seen Scar on, we've seen Scar on Zed, we've seen Scar on Kale, we've seen Scar on Diana, we've seen Scar on Gragas. What else does he got left? Now it's like proving time for Scar, and I don't know exactly what he's going to go for. He's got Lee Sin selected, kind of, and he's just like, all right, I guess he's going to wait for the last pick.
Yeah, they're buying him time with the picks right there. Sona, Draven, the bottom lane. I'm actually glad PewDiePie's gone back to Draven finally.
That's really nice. It's been getting banned out a lot against Dignitas, but he's just back in power mode. The Draven versus Misfortune matchup, if they end up actually laning against each other, is so aggressive. They're both known as lane bullies. They both have 550 range, so when they just go to hit each other, they just bash heads, and usually somebody dies.
Well, we'll see which one ends up falling first. Of course, Thresh, the support on one side, and Sona on the other. They've already insta-locked that Jarvan as a jungle pickup here for Loudamortis. I mean, I say that as though Prolly hasn't played Jarvan before this season. But MIA is going to be the last one to grab. He, of course, will be on Thresh when they swap around, but looking for a mid or top or jungler.
Yeah, you're right about that one. I'm going to guess that this is probably a top laner that they're going to be going for. Nick Wu has been playing like Jace and Darius, but he has the Jace selected here. Like, he had a huge amount of success on Jace against Curse when they had that kind of Janna mid game that they had a huge lead and then fell off. So that's probably the setup they're going for there with Jarvan in the jungle, Prolly in mid lane, and MIA, and not MIA, but Jace in the top lane. And this last pick for Dignitas is going to be so crazy, Freak, because I don't know what Scar is gonna pick. Maybe I'm missing something entirely, but I don't remember him playing many more champions this year.
Well, he's got 40 seconds to figure it out right now, and hope he put up enough practice, because you know they came into this knowing what they were going to ban, right? Like, you don't surprise yourself with your own bans. So they knew that Zed and Kale were going to be Zed and Kale were going to be gone. They still got 25 seconds to make a choice here. Is there like a team composition pick you can think of here?
Right. So right now, Dignitas had Shen already for the global, so they're just going to go for more global, right? I believe this is Scar's first Twisted Fate game of the year. Twisted Fate is 100% pick ban over in OGN Spring. It's definitely not at that level yet in North America, but the teams that have been picking it up have been picking it up very frequently. So now Dignitas has that global composition because of the Shen and the Twisted Fate, in that they're really keying that I'm a Cutie Pie gets going because that's really the main lane they're going to be able to gank is that bottom lane. And if it's against a Misfortune of Thresh, yes, they have a bit of escape, but it is a very aggressive all-in lane down there for complexity.
That will be a fun match as we take our way down throughout the rest of Champion Select here. You can see the lineups up on your screen. Complexity in blue, Dignitas on red. You mentioned Dignitas is global, though. What's Complexity's angle here?
Yeah, so we just had the quick drop out of Champ Select. Complexity's angle with their general team comp is about kind of strongly winning the lane, and also Gragas is a very potent roamer.
One of Super Week, Dignitas needs to start their winning streak now, and so does Complexity. Let's get it going. We got Complexity in blue and Dignitas in red, and they're leaving their bases.
And since Complexity has Jace, they actually open up a couple new avenues at level 1. They dropped the gate right away, which means any spot that they're trying to race Dignitas to, they're pretty much going to beat them to it. It's hard to predict the speed of a team that has the gate early on, so you can see Complexity seems to be trying to get some kind of rush invade. They're all running through that top lane. They're probably going to go for some deep red wards. They're actually probably going to try for a blind hook and hope that someone's in that brush, but luckily for Dignitas, no one's there. Did that ward miss?
No, he hit it.
Okay.
He hit the ward into that tri-brush there. He managed to spot the one out, so a nice early opening. But Dignitas, you're seeing them on your screen here, they've just calmly invaded the lizard area, and they're like, yeah, okay, no big deal, put a ward down. And all the shenanigans there from Complexity actually haven't done too much. I don't think they got spotted by that ward down there by the river, though. They're still in the fog of war here.
And with all teams grouping around as 5 people, you got to kind of think what would happen in a level 1 fight if they were to clash into each other. I gotta say, both these teams actually have some pretty scary pick potential because Scar would have a gold card plus a Kiwi could taunt, whereas Complexity would have the Threshold. But they just burned the Threshold cooldown, and Dignitas is coming through. They don't know that's warded.
Well, I think he just saw Probably, though. They should know that he is there, I would guess. Looks like they're not going to do much for it. The Dignitas actually backs out of their own lizard area. And Complexity would know that Dignitas did back out themselves, but looks like they're not going for a steal right now.
And that's a couple deep wards that Complexity put in on Dignitas. I don't think Dignitas entirely knows what's warded because Complexity put a lot of money into that early vision. There was the Explorer ward that just timed out in the river. Other than that, they already have 4 wards on the map. When you compare that to Dignitas, who pretty much just placed the 1 over near Complexity's Wraith. So unless Complexity makes some kind of early game move, that's a bit of a waste of wards, unless they use that ward vision to play more aggressive in the lanes.
Well, we'll see where they end up going with this one. Of course, Crumbs and Cutie Pie have gone down and finish up that Golem buff. Looks like no crazy lanes here, so 1v1 up top, 2v2 at the bottom. Loud Mortis just taking his blue buff. He's actually saved his smite, though, and Crumbs burned his right away.
It's a little bit interesting. I mean, Dignitas going instead to get to the lane faster instead of giving a hook, or giving a good pull, and this bottom lane is going to be very aggressive. I mean, look at the amount of damage that Cutie Pie took early, and for the first time in forever, Cutie Pie started with the Doran's Blade as the hook lands.
They landed a whole bunch of damage on Patoy. They actually burned the Ignite as well. The attacks are there. First blood already coming out there. Now Cutie Pie's kind of caught alone, down to 120 health. Frenchie will not quite chase one out, but look at the burst there.
And this is crazy because Dignitas are the ones who started the trend of going red elixir bottom lane. Neither Cutie Pie or Patoy started with it this game, but MIA and Brunchu both did. And there's a flash hook!
Oh my gosh, he's gonna go for it, and they find the kill! MIA, he's gonna die, but it's an execute! So no gold or experience given to Dignitas. Complexity starting out 2-0.
And it could not be better for Complexity here because even during their big exciting addition of Prawley, it's been Prawley or Nick Wu or Ladamortis. It's like these are the guys we think about when we think of Complexity. Brunchu has been in the background this entire time. To get that bottom lane, a start like that, without any jungle intervention, and to be able to get 2 kills early is massive for them, because when Dignitas prepared for Complexity, I doubt they were thinking about Brunchu and MIA, so this could very well turn the tides for the rest of the game.
This is going to be crazy overall. Let's just look at the matches right now. Nick Wu is actually winning on Kiwi Kid 14-8. The junglers are equivalent. The AD carries, though, it's laughable. It's 2 kills to 0, 1,600 to 700 gold. I don't think I've ever seen like a 2.5x gold lead before.
It's just one of those things that happens when you just die at level 1 and lose all the waves to your turret. I mean, that is probably some of the worst timing for deaths in the bottom lane. And now it's going to be on Dignitas. You can already see Crumbs helping towards the bottom lane. It's a salvage effort at this point, right? A lot of times you just ignore the lane that's lost really badly, but it looks like Dignitas is trying to help them out. Dignitas is pinging out the pink wards in the river. I don't really know how Crumbs is going to make himself involved in this.
We'll see. He's definitely not found much yet. He is looking in the background for a lane gank, possibly. His Ghost is available. He's level 3. We'll see what happens here. Level 3 just hit there for MIA. And again, the Lantern comes out. They're spotting, trying to see what's in the brush there. Green ward comes down from Patoy. NASA's still waiting around. He finally turns back.
Yeah, and that Lantern being down would have been a slight window for Crumbs to try to make it into the brush, but they recognized how passive compLexity was playing because they're sensing something, and Crumbs going to clear out the pink ward so he could potentially make a return gank. They're trying to give Dignitas' lane more pressure, so even though they're losing, that there's still the threat of the jungler, so at least AmaQTPie could farm. That's what I'm guessing they're doing.
We'll see if that ends up happening here. Latimortis just an inch from level 4. They're looking at the top lane. He's not been seen by a ward whatsoever. Of course, Kiwi could open clock 5. So you would not have seen that at all. And there's the aggression in from NickWoo. Finds a bit of damage. Will Latimortis get what he wants? There's the flash out from Kiwi Kid, who gets away, but that's flashed down. Yeah, that was a very interesting flash because he was completely at full health, still had 3 health potions left, and I don't think he would have died from that gank. He just would have gotten quite low. So Kiwi Kid instead opted to keep his health up and save health potions rather than that 5-minute cooldown on flash. So we'll see how that choice plays out in the rest of the game, whether Latimortis decides for a repeat gank or whether Kiwi Kid gets away with it. Latimortis is actually in the upper jungle, jumps over the wall. He's going to spot Crumbs here by the Wraiths and say, oh, that's nice. You're killing the jungle. Bye. Hello. Just, yes. Waves hello and says, hey, by the way, I just want you to know I'm here. He's actually on top of a ward now from Skara as well. So Latimortis is just kind of saying hi to the entire Dignitas team right now. He's a friendly guy. Yeah, what's up, man? He's a friendly dude. He's very sociable. Everyone on Dignitas actually knows him since way back when. I remember he was on Reflex Gaming back in MLG Providence 2011, so he's definitely been in the scene for quite a while. Just the friendly hello, making sure he's there, and he's got to make sure that he doesn't fall behind in farm since he's doing so many lane visits. And we talked earlier how he needs to make sure he gets levels. He's only level 4, 6 minutes in, and he's trying another gank. Ooh, the flash ult comes in from Skara, keeping him alive. Of course, Brawley burned his flash to make that one open. So, a trade of flashes, no gank. But that does mean for Latimortis, his ganks are starting to pay off, right? Like, both of the solo lanes have burned flashes, so at least Brawley and NickWoo should be able to get a little bit more aggressive, and at the very least, those lanes are now more scared of Latimortis gank. So Latimortis should make sure to make more rounds and try to punish those lanes that are missing flashes. So you're saying he needs to be even friendlier than before. That's going to be... That is a just nice person right there. Latimortis puts a ward down, giving a little bit of vision to his homies. Goes back in the jungle himself. We're revisiting the bottom lane here, though, and... the gold lead actually has shrunk, though, so the kill plus first blood, all that, only a 500 gold lead now. It's actually really crazy. I hadn't kept track of that. It's just a matter of, because the 2 kills, right, it's the first blood bonus, so that's 600 gold for the first kill. And then you get 500 gold for the next one, so it's 1,100 gold in kills, which means it's a 600 gold edge that Dignitas has put up just in the lanes alone. And when you consider that Brunchu and MEA both started with red elixirs and AmaQTPie and Patoy didn't, that is actually almost even. So they've managed to come back through collective farming off of that double kill. They'd actually started with 4 red elixirs overall. It was only the jungler who didn't pull one out, so they'd spent a full grand on that, and all of them have been... Actually, I take that back. Probably has not chugged his just yet. NickWoo had, though. Those are going to time out eventually. Probably level 6 here did not get a blue steal for himself. Minions are going to go down. Of course, they're just kind of wave clearing right now, and of course, he doesn't want Skara to find a gank. He's just making sure to keep Skara at bay. I mean, as long as Brawley can keep that lane shoved, Skara won't be able to roam down for another gank. And the nice thing about the global comp from Dignitas here is, like, the bottom lane has really salvaged itself well. Considering the disaster that was at level 1, where they were down double gold, to be down 4 minion kills, to still only have a Doran's Blade, but to be farming adequately is great. And this is trouble for Crumbs. Oh my gosh, NickWoo is right there. Level 7 versus level 4. He pops Ghost. NickWoo finds a whole heck of a lot of damage. Shenult comes across. Will he find the pain he needs? But there comes the TF. Well, this could be bad. He's going for the taunt, I would assume. He locks a red card, but it might just be enough. Anyway, NickWoo getting under pressure. Scar's going to take some pain. Will they find it? The knock into the wall. Gold, no. Red card landed. And Latimortis and probably actually back off from that when they don't find the kill. Only NickWoo has been slain. And that's it. They don't find anything else. Wow, Skara almost falling there. Neither Dignitas solo laner had a flash in that situation, but that is the Globals coming in clutch there. They do steal the red away, and this fight actually might continue. Kiwi Kid wants to put out a little something, but Latimortis is level 6. And Kiwi Kid did not have flash available. They don't want to go for the fight, though. It's Brunchu shoving the wave after Dignitas had just backed out. You can see that the game has gotten really close, 11,000 apiece. Yeah, so dead even gold right there, and there was the first set of roams. So now, the good thing about compLexity for that situation is they know that the globals are gone, right? They didn't have to burn too much themselves. Probably still has his teleport technically, so the mid lane pressure is actually in the advantage of compLexity right now, because Skara can't really roam anywhere, whereas Brawley is still free to do so. So even though they lost that engagement in the jungle, it's not all bad. Now we can see the other lanes just milling about right now. Again, this game even. Kiwi Kid, a lot of armor and health on him. He's a tanky man. NickWoo is forced to defend at his turret while Kiwi buys himself some items. Crumb's putting some early, or I should say aggressive wards now across the map right now. And we're just seeing heads-up matchups right here as we get sort of partway through this game. Early lead did go to compLexity, but Dignitas have been working their way back very well so far.
And there's a couple things that these junglers are going to be focusing on soon. Crumbs is going to hit level 6 pretty soon. What Nasus junglers try to do is they pretty much go and solo Dragon at level 6. They don't gank. What Jarvan junglers do at level 6 is they just go create havoc and gank the crap out of people. Both the Dignitas solo lanes are about to have flashback up, so that ultimate gank from Latimortis won't be as powerful if he doesn't get a gank off right now. So he tried to force his way into mid lane, but Scar realized it was coming, and Scar's only got 15 seconds left on that flash, so Latimortis, even though he's got his ultimate gank, might not be super potent.
Well, and speaking of his ganks, though, he's looking towards his bottom lane, but the wards are getting swept out from Dignitas' side. He's not being revealed in this tri-brush. He is looking for the bottom lane, though. He's got the lane. He's going to go for this one. The flash forward. Oh, the hook is flashed away. Nice dodge there by cutie-pie. But flash for flash, they just do this every single time, it seems.
That was a really good stand aside that cutie-pie did with Draven. He threw it out, so as Latimortis came from the Lantern, he actually hit both of them, and he delayed potentially the Latimortis dunk, and Latimortis couldn't follow in after. That looked like it was going to be a powerful gank for compLexity because they could chain all their move blocks together, but instead they're just going to try to push down that lane. Let's see if Dignitas can hold it off.
Well, the turret is down to half health, but there's the cannon minion going down. 45 gold goes to cutie-pie for last hitting that one, and now it is Crumbs lurking around in the corner. Of course, probably does have teleport, but yeah, so does Scar. We'll see if this fight ends up panning out. They see Crumbs right here. They know the 3-on-3 on both sides.
And Prawley has teleport, Scar has Twisted Fate ultimate. Scar has Twisted Fate ultimate. So if there is a fight that's going to come out, it could be a 4v4 very quickly. KiwiKid also only has 10 seconds on his Shen ultimate, so the global threat is back for Dignitas. compLexity didn't really act between any of those windows, so they have to worry about it all over again. The gold is still super close in this game, Freak, so something is going to happen, I think, fairly soon.
Well, probably right now is wave clearing, trying to keep Scar kind of under wraps here. See if that can happen. The bottom lane's still sitting very close together. Latimortis has gone away, but Nasus is still waiting in the wings over there. You can see him, Crumbs, right there in the brush.
And we talked about Latimortis falling behind, but Crumbs has really got to worry about it. He's level 6 here, and there's another Lantern gank, 3-on-3.
They find the dunk, they go on to cutie-pie, the bullet time coming by as well, Crescendo off in the back, and here comes the Stand United. Doesn't even happen though, but Toy's gonna go down as well. Double kill here, Brunshu has 4, and he's getting away from Crumbs now. Crumbs gets knocked back from Prawley. This could be, oh my gosh, 3 unanswered kills, and Scar went back to base.
Yeah, that was just bad window timing by Dignitas right there. Prawley burned his teleport, Scar wasn't in position, and KiwiKid's, either his target got killed before his ultimate went off, or he got knocked back. I'm not sure exactly what happened, but either way, huge win for compLexity. And that double kill from Brunshu early on, even though it didn't pay immediate dividends, really paid off there because he was so strong in that fight. He was a BF sword, longsword, and a Doran's blade into that, and not only did they get the kills and the turret, they're getting a dragon too, Free.
There we go. You mentioned that Nasus would be the dragon killer, but you know, Latimortis, he's not even wearing the right skin for it, but still seems very good at killing dragons. Take that back. Not wearing the right skin, probably last hit the dragon. Latimortis, shame on you for not playing with the proper cannon. Seeing cutie-pie and Patoy just back to this bottom lane. They get double killed, and then they farm and catch up, and they get double killed, and they farm and catch up, now reaching about 90 minions here on this Draven.
And this is a much bigger hole to dig themselves out of than last time, because we talked about the gold being 1,100 gold last time. Well, now it's a 2,500 gold differential, and it's not like Dignitas even got turret pressure for giving up any of that stuff. That was just a complete and total loss for Dignitas in that entire exchange. So Prawley's still farming really well. I think he's kept Scar at bay incredibly well pretty much this whole game. I think the bottom lane has performed really, really well, and the only thing maybe is that NickWoo hasn't beaten on KiwiKid too much, but KiwiKid also hasn't been a presence with his ultimate. So this is another one of those games for compLexity where they do really well in the early game.
Well, speaking of doing well early on, we've now hit lead time into the game, and compLexity are killing the frontal middle turret. Jat hangs his head in shame to my right, and they've killed now their second turret here. compLexity are winning by every metric I can think of.
They really are, and I don't know if they fall off that much in the late game, because I'm looking at Latimortis' jungle right now. I mean, 3,600 gold on Jarvan. Sure, he's only got 50 minion kills, but he's level 8. He's not falling too far behind. They might have the tank line that they need to come in later in the game. Crumbs isn't powering up as a tank quite yet. KiwiKid is. Maybe they'll run into the same issue here where compLexity only has 1 tank late and they can't close, but they seem to have that aggressive flair this time as they're going and trying to round up all the turrets.
That is going to be the third turret kill unanswered. Look at Patoy getting bursted. Oh, they actually don't go for the kill. They're afraid of KiwiKid and Crumbs. So just with 3 members that I can think of right up there, Latimortis waiting in the jungle for some kind of a counter gank. and Gragas still in mid. QTPie, though, has been left alone in this bottom lane. He's actually now past Brunch U and minion kills as a result.
And it's the thing that Dignitas has to do. We talked about it way before. He has to get going on Draven, right? They need that Draven threat. Since the global threat isn't the same team fight presence that Dignitas usually has from their mid laners, this top turret is really getting pressured, but Dignitas is holding it off quite well.
You can see it just down so incredibly low on health. It's actually probably that's been pulled down to the bottom lane to heads up against QTPie, while Lauda Mortis is being given some farm in the mid lane, but they still hold 3 members top, just trying to shove this one out ever so slowly. And it is losing health time and time again. 3v3 still in this matchup.
You can see Scar is kind of trying to cheat over to the top lane. Dignitas wants to engage on here. They don't want to let this turret get poked down even farther. J4 is on the way, and they know Probably doesn't have his teleport, so Dignitas could force an advantageous engagement here from a numbers perspective, but I don't know if they're confident enough to win it. I think on the next turret push with Scar trying to come in, they're going to go for it. Scar's got to be careful that he doesn't get seen by any of those wards, and I think he has been because he ran by the red buff.
And of course, Probably is just really buying a lot of time in the bottom side of the map, putting just a couple hundred points of damage down on this bottom turret, but he has pulled Draven as well as the ultimate. But actually, they do go in. Brunch U's going to find a gold card almost off his face. He's going to go into MIA 7. He's been pulled into turret range. Scar's going to evaporate in that battle, and Dignitas are like, whoa, that sucked, and they have to turn around.
That was essentially a 2v4, but because compLexity knew it was coming because of the wards, they're turning it around, and there goes Nick Wu.
He's trying to chase down Undercrumbs. Can he get the slow? He's in hammer stance. Lauda Mortis is here. Can he get the knockup? He's still diving the turret. There's the dunk. They find Crumbs. Kiwikit goes back in. They kill the turret first, but Nick Wu's getting chased out still. He does go down, but they should answer back onto Kiwikit. But Crescendo might have something to say about that one. Patoy taking up for his team, losing some of that KDA, but they find a kill to answer this one. But here comes I'm a Cutie Pie, and he's looking menacing right now. MIA might just be KIA, and he is. Kill picked up there for Dignitas. I believe that makes it a 2 for 2.
So Dignitas does counter that quite well. I feel like compLexity over-pushed, realizing they had the edge in the 2v4, and then fell because of it. But all the pressure they created up top because of that fight gave Probably a whole bunch of time to clear out that bottom lane. Probably's now got 2,000 gold to go back and shop with, and it is a trade of resources. Now we see round 2 of Dignitas trying to kill this turret. Can Brunch U hold it?
Well, right now, it looks like he's going to do pretty well at this so far. Dignitas actually backs off of that one and says, all right, we'll wait for later.
Yep. Just gotta take a deep breath, calm down a little bit. That was a huge win for compLexity. compLexity as a whole has to make sure that they keep track of this one, right? They need to know they have nothing to lose, because in the games where they've kind of stalled, they ran out of things to do. So far, they've killed 4 turrets, so their strategy of like, hey, let's kill the turret seems to be working. They can't stop doing that. They know the dragon's up in a minute and a half. They need to continue to do that. Like, as long as they are growing their lead consistently, they're in a good spot. But when they fall into a hole where Dignitas is mimicking their farm, that's when they're going to have to start making plays. So far, this is a completely new compLexity team. They're making all the plays they need to, and it's looking very good for them.
And they're chugging red elixir after red elixir. I mean, consumables seem to be the item of choice. Nick Wu has another elixir fortitude for himself, and they've dropped a whole bunch of wards near Dignitas' blue buff. See if that ends up being another point of contention for them in the near future. Scar and Crumbs hold on to this mid lane. Let's see where compLexity's next move is.
Yeah, and with those consumables, Lauda Mortis actually chugged an Oracles about 3.5 minutes ago. So that's almost out as well. The item thresholds that they've reached are actually really, really strong, as far as the Rabadon's death cap being completed on Probably a little while ago, plus the blue elixir for when a fight happens. Probably hasn't been involved in many fights, but if he does get involved in the next one, he's going to blow somebody up. Brunch U has the build for Misfortune right now. It's the AD and the Armor Pen. I personally would have went maybe with a Black Cleaver because he's going to help shred with Jace. I think that'll be his next item. But for now, that bullet time, isolated on itself, is shredding Dignitas because they don't have armor, and he has a ton of Armor Pen.
That is going to be scary. And of course, Cutie Pie, you mentioned him just trying to scale into the late game, being the big factor for them. He's at 170 minions. He's certainly doing a good job killing things. This is like CLG double lift Dignitas style. compLexity, though, with complete dragon control, this is going to be theirs without even an attempt by Dignitas to stop that. They just know the map control is not theirs right now.
And they know that they're going to lose a fight. They're actually hoping that compLexity makes a mistake or that they can land some kind of like miracle crescendo. There's so much to be afraid of from compLexity right here as compLexity actually tries to go in and invade the blue buff. There's a hook on Crumbs.
They do find that the knockup is there as well, but here comes the Crescendo. Oh, they're going to have enough burst damage. Crescendo's going to stop that, and Kiwikit will show up. Crumbs still alive. Scar's taking damage in the background. Lauda Mortis finds one. Probably's helping that one, but a lot of people from compLexity are dying. Lauda Mortis will fall over, the only tank on his team. 3 dead for just 1. Dignitas found the fight they wanted.
that was ridiculous for Dignitas. Brunshu got wrecked when he tried to channel his bullet time. AmaCutiePie was around the flank, and I think he was just crushing him. And look at that minion kill score coming in. He's just beasting down Prawley.
But the Lantern does come out. That will be MIA saving his teammate there, pulling him back into the fog of war. But there's, again, the Dignitas fight. They're now only within 3,000 gold.
Yeah, that was the moment that they really needed to happen. compLexity made kind of a routine blue steal, but they just got caught in a crescendo from Patoy that just lined up with everything else that Dignitas had to offer. All the kills that were onto Brunshu before that fight didn't mean anything because he died so quickly. Prawley was also kind of in mid lane, not ready for that type of aggression out of Dignitas. I have to say that was a really good tactical call for Dignitas to go at that exact moment. I think they lulled compLexity into a sense of security with how willingly Dignitas gave up the dragon. compLexity thought, well, if they're going to give us the dragon, why wouldn't they give us their blue buff as well? Just so happened that that was a tight corridor. They got caught in everything, and Dignitas does feel like they're back in the game now.
Beautiful team fighting by them. That seems to have always been their strength throughout the season. Brunshu now trying to maintain his star role as most farmed AD carry in the game. Taking up that top lane right there. Bloodthirster and Last Whisper, as you mentioned, are completed on him. Scar roaming around in the mid lane. And once again, it's the globals are not quite all the way up. They have Scars, but not Kiwi Kids. Does compLexity still have to make moves here?
I feel like compLexity has to keep the pressure up. They're kind of known to be that team that doesn't know how to close, right? Nasus is a really almost an exponential scaler into the late game. AmaCutiePie does have a really good position on Draven. Like the Draven MF scaling matchup is pretty close. I feel like late game TF is just as dangerous as late game Gragas. And the team comps themselves going through it are actually pretty close late game, but the teams themselves and their late game tactics definitely favor Dignitas. So I feel like compLexity, if they don't try to win this game early, they might fall apart a little bit late. So it's on them to make a move now. And they're still holding the map pressure, so they're trying to do it. It's just a matter of can Dignitas freeze it.
Dignitas are trying to do that, of course. They've got Twisted Fate in the mid lane, whose wild cards are quite good at that overall. See what they can end up doing with this one. compLexity certainly still trying to siege this mid lane. This feels so much like their game against Curse. The ult comes out from Gragas, some nice poke there. Patoy has healing over time. It might just be enough. Gragas' barrel still coming out though, probably trying to find some damage. compLexity keep the siege going.
Yeah, a lot of Gragases like to try to harass at the turret with their ultimate, but that's usually when they have a blue buff and 40% CDR. Prawley used that with just the blue elixir, so he was only at 14% CDR. So he's actually still got another 55 seconds without that Gragas cask. Luckily, though, Patoy doesn't have like a flash crescendo up yet, so I feel like this is just going to be a back and forth with no real ground being made. Probably didn't land enough harass onto Dignitas that Patoy was really just able to heal it back up after it happened. And they're going to kind of go back and heal a little bit. This reminds me a lot of the Curse game that compLexity had last week, Freak, where they had the lead, they tried to make some pushes mid, they couldn't really convert on anything, and then they started losing fights. They've already lost one fight. What can they do?
Well, we'll see if it's lose more fights or win more fights.
Those are the two options.
Those are the two options. I mean, they could tie. They could double ace at the same time. You've seen those videos.
I love it when that happens, man.
And you're just like, and a moment of silence as everyone respawns.
And then the camera's like, I don't know what to look at. There's no one running around. They just
press D.
hover over corpses. It's like,
watch the dragon flapping.
I like that, yeah.
Yeah. It's majestic. It's the only time he gets to survive when no one's alive to kill him. Poor guy. Anyway, Nick Wu up in the top lane here. Fighting up against Kiwi Kid. Kiwi Kid actually wanting to turn aggressive because Scar's going to show up for this one. Will they have the damage? Pretty sure they do. Nick Wu gets completely crushed right there. And both of the Dignitas members still above half health.
Really nice gank there by Scar. He caught Nick Wu feeling safe. And I don't know why I wouldn't feel safe. It's like I'm in my turret, like I have been for the past 23 minutes, just kind of farming away. And now it's a matter of what's compLexity going to do? They're forced into a choice here because they just lost someone. So technically it's a 4v5, but they know that Scar is not there. Kiwi Kid's ultimate is up, so even if they fought, it would be a 4v4. This is a very dangerous place for compLexity to be.
The ult comes out from Draven, actually putting some damage on a Brunshu. Even home guards were completed by Scar, so he would show up rather quickly. Shen has made his way all the way down to that left-hand side turret. compLexity are going to need to respond to this one. Nick Wu got his way back up. He'll run across the map, but certainly another good pickup there for Dignitas, and they've pulled the lead now to only 2,000 gold.
It's like deja vu for compLexity. They have to be feeling frustrated right now. They need to be able to pull themselves back together because of this. This has been happening to them all year, but even more so since the acquisition of Prawley, because ever since they got Prawley, like, they win pretty much every early game. Like, they're ridiculously talented in that aspect, but they haven't found ways to close, and it's happening again. Dignitas is one of the best closing teams in the business, so if anyone knows how to counter or close it, it would be Dignitas or even Curse, because they're really the two best ones at doing in this league, and it is happening again. I mean, Skara's ultimate's going to be up very soon. compLexity doesn't seem to have a cohesive strategy to make something happen, and everything they've tried to do has somewhat backfired since they got the lead. Maybe this Dragon fight is a good force. Probably has his ultimate on Gragas if Dignitas tries to fight them, but Dignitas might be content just giving this one up.
Well, we'll at least give them some gold right now. Probably split pushing on the side lane. He's going to go all the way over back to his team right now. Dragon's taking some damage. Dignitas are moving forward, though. If it's just the mid lane or a Dragon attempt, either one, Dignitas are grouped up and ready to make moves.
We might see a fight here if Dignitas really wants it, because Kiwi Kid could ult in, and compLexity might try an initiation here, but they are being very cautious with each other. I mean, they do realize that the gold has gotten close, and Dignitas hasn't really initiated hard for many fights. They mainly just countered compLexity. Aside from that one gank against Nick Wu, this has been a low-kill game, and neither team is really looking to fight that hard, but I actually don't know what to call here, Freak.
It's going to be interesting, of course, as that pans out. compLexity has just grouped back to the mid lane, though, and shockingly, Kiwi Kid is split pushing on Shen over and over and over again. Everyone just puts the flag down, some attack speed to his team. That turret is down to half health. They are slowly making progress here. Draven ult comes by from QtPie, and that does force compLexity away.
So Dignitas looks content just clearing the waves. That's why I'm a QtPie burn his ultimate, because they're buying time for this guy, Kiwi Kid in the side lane. He's very strong on Shen right now. Randwin's Omen plus Sunfire Cape, meaning really the only thing that could go to stop him would be Prawley, since he hasn't built any magic resist. But with Prawley gone from the main compLexity team, their team fighting is actually quite weak, as Prawley actually goes down for Kiwi Kid. Twisted Fate ultimate coming in for a fight in mid, though.
This is going to be a 5-on-4 right here. Latimar's taking a bunch of pain, tries to get himself out of the way right here, but still getting crushed down. Crescendo comes by as well. Prawley has shown back up, but will he have enough of a fight? Of course, he already burned his ultimate earlier. They find Krumzo, a lot of damage available on that one. They get the kill. MIA picks that one up, actually avenging his deaths earlier, and now they might look for QtPie. Prawley's ultimate not even close to available right now, and Dignitas will get away. They trade 1-for-1 junglers apiece.
They just trade resources, really, because everything there was predicted. They knew Prawley was going to come down. They knew they were going to initiate on it. Then they knew they'd burn the teleport and the Shen ult once they got back to the fight. Yes, they lost Crumbs, but they're pretty much okay with that, I think. I have to say, though, they did lose the turret, so yeah, it's a tricky situation, man. This game is super close.
It is super close. You're seeing still just 2,800 gold separating these teams, which at this point is basically nothing. Probably just gonna, keep farming up that mid lane. 129 gold from just all the 6 normal minions. He's getting rich off of these area of effect clears. Skara, of course, doing the exact same thing with cards of his own. And these teams are just kind of, get rich or die trying, basically. They're just bashing heads the occasional fight once in a while.
Look at the items, too. So we got Bloodthirster completed on Nick Wu and Brunchu. Brunchu's going for the Phantom Dancer, so he's going the big-time auto attack, which is a little strange against a Nasus, because Crumbs is going to be wither spamming that guy. Nick Wu does want to complete his Muramana pretty soon, because his Tear of the Goddess is at max stacks. So anytime you can transform that, it would be fantastic, especially since this is a 3.5 balance patch and it's physical damage, so it would synergize with armor penetration. There's just too many items that Nick Wu actually wants to complete right now and just not enough gold. If he can get to that, compLexity will be in good shape. They actually hook for Kiwi Kid, and they might go for him over the wall.
They are going all in, half health on him. The Lantern comes across as well. Will anyone pull in? And they're like, no, guys, back off. Their entire team is missing in action. And of course, that was true. They all came right back in to stop that one. They got some damage into Kiwi Kid, though. We'll see if he backs off or stays with low health.
Now QtPie's dancing in the bottom lane as well, wondering if he can go up or not. compLexity's putting a lot of Baron pressure on it now, because they know Kiwi Kid is low and the Kiwi Kid has no ultimate. So if compLexity can actually make Dignitas do something very soon, it'll be good for them. At this point, it's all in on Baron or appeal for a fight.
Well, Draven ult has come by. They got some vision. Oh, the hook almost lands on Crumbs. He pops his ult, though. They're going to actually kite back away and waste away the Nasus ulti here. That's a decent pickup for compLexity.
They're trying to burn more and more cooldowns as they continue to apply pressure. They're up 5 turrets to 1, and there comes an ultimate.
They're going to find that the Cataclysm comes across. He is helping his team so much as Crumbs takes a bunch of pain. Probably comes in as well. Look at Crumbs getting completely bursted out. He is gone. And compLexity has a 5-on-4 on the map right now.
This is the move they knew they had to make. Probably going in for a kill.
Oh, he gets it with the explosive cask. That is now 2 kills unanswered, and compLexity goes for Baron.
What a great play. They saw QtPie was bottom at the start. They harassed Kiwi Kid over the wall, and they were actually patient in their aggression, if that makes sense, because they waited for the cooldowns to spill out. They got the poke on Scar, then they went in, and this is a completely uncontested Baron. All the steal potential is gone for them. They get the Baron, and they made their move, so now they're back in control.
They are in control, and just look at now what they will go to do to try to close this game out. You mentioned that compLexity had a hard time closing games and that Dignitas were the kings of it, and they might just know how to stall out, but we'll see if they'll channel their inner CLG EU, because compLexity right now are looking to knock down even more buildings.
And the big-time magic penetration is coming out on Prawley as well. That's one of the reasons he spiked down Scar so well. Comboing Void Staff with Sorcerer's Shoes is something that I don't think enough people do. A lot of people are like, oh, he's got a Haunting, guys. He's got enough magic penetration. Actually, Sorcerer's Shoes plus Void Staff is way more, especially when the other team has a Runic Bulwark. You will do substantially more damage to your opponents, and that's one of the reasons Prawley is chunking him down. The Phantom Dancer did get completed onto Brunshu as well. Nick Wu hopefully has enough gold to get something that he really wants pretty soon, because that will be absolutely gargantuan for compLexity's chances here. They've already killed 6 turrets as well, Freak. I want to see their siege of an inhibitor turret, because those are the last ones to go. And once they go down for a team that has the lead, it usually spells the game.
And that was where actually they had stalled out against Curse, was at the inhibitor turrets more than anything else. And that's where the St. Vicious Volibear just found battles and found ways to claw Curse back in. So compLexity, kind of their biggest opponents this season are the turrets now in front of them, the ones that are still standing. Brunshu pushing down these bottom lane minions, Cutie Pie going back to base. We're seeing kind of compLexity get ready to start this fight, I feel.
And I want to see how they're going to do it, right? Because they have a lot of poke, and Dignitas only has minimal sustain from Patoy. It seems like Kiwi Kid's going to try to split push and stop that from happening, so before anything happens for compLexity, they have to find a way to contain Kiwi Kid and at least make his presence felt. So the teleport is up for Prawley. If they just want to match him in the split push and then try to siege with 4, they'd be able to do that, but that cuts down on compLexity's poke. So perfect situation. compLexity actually gets 5 in front of a turret and gets to poke down. Dignitas is going to want to do everything in their power to avoid that situation from happening.
Let's see who's going to control the pace of that one, though, if compLexity can put 5 together. Right now with just 4, though, they've taken out the Dragon, and they're going to let... Okay, it's going to be Nick Wu who takes the last hit. 25 gold for him. Good job, buddy. And, of course, 1,000 for the team. And that brings us to a 6,000 gold lead so far. So compLexity has stretched that. They've got about a minute and a half left of Baron, and they're pushing on the right-hand side lane as Prawley pushed at the very, very top.
They want to make the big plays here. I think Prawley expects to see Shen fairly quickly, but he's still, even if he's not counteracting a Shen, he does have his teleport. It will be a little bit slow if Dignitas can get a great jump on a fight, but as long as the poke comes through for compLexity, they're going to be in good shape. Scar already taking a little bit. I think if a Thresh Hook lands from MIA, it's go time. That's when the teleport goes in, or if they get someone really low from a Shock Blast. But this is a very crucial moment in the game. I feel like compLexity has a chance to win it here if they play their cards right.
Of course, the cards are in Scar's hands, though. He might just have what it takes to turn this one around. Crumbs in the front. Spirit Fire comes down. Dignitas are waiting around, and there is Shen at the top lane, pushing up. Actually, Scar does get hooked. The Zonius comes out. Is that going to buy enough time for him? MA puts down the box and starts running away. Ladder Borders does not find a knock-up, actually. Lantern comes by. They put some damage into Crumbs. Everyone's actually backing out of this one. Probably did burn his teleport.
Scar escapes thanks to the Zhonya's and the presence from the rest of his team to back him up. Now, though, compLexity has the moment where 5 people are mid. They don't have to deal with the split push. Look at that turret fall.
And it's going to be completely destroyed right there. There is the #1 enemy of compLexity that has fallen. That 7th turret on the map. The inhibitor is now open. Purple minions only stand in the way right now. The rest of Dignitas standing behind that building. It's down to half health. You're seeing it just waver at that area. There's now compLexity on your screen trying to push on in. There's a barrel from Prawley. There's the bullets coming out from Brunshu. They are afraid of Kiwi Kid for very good reason. That is a tanky, scary ninja who is also on fire. And Ladder Mortis is trying to lead his team into the inhibitor down to a 3rd on health. Kiwi Kid taking more poke. And Dignitas are just trying to get rid of the minions.
And the Baron ran out for compLexity, so if Dignitas wants to fight, they could do it now. They really want this last inhibitor, and Dignitas does not want them to get it. We very well could see compLexity back off, or Dignitas fight them at the last hits of this inhibitor.
It is down to just a few hundred health. It's going to be the acceleration get coming back out. The poke is enough, and compLexity forces them back. Inhibitor goes down to compLexity.
Patoy had fallen back to the base to heal up due to the excessive poke coming out from Nick Wu, and mission accomplished for compLexity. They got that one. The aura items came in big, the poke came out big, but most importantly, I think the regen from that Baron buff allowed them to stay in long enough to get that inhibitor down.
So with 3 minutes left till Baron comes back into this one, Dignitas are now short-handed on the right-hand side of the map. Prawley's teleport down for a little while as well. I think actually Baron comes back up before the teleport does. We'll see if that matters much at all. And it's Dignitas' turn, actually, it's compLexity's turn to actually buy some items. So Dignitas actually has control of the map. They're going to get this turret, I think.
And they got to be real careful how they go about this. Both teams really do, because it's a brief 5v3, but then compLexity's going to have their people again. There's an ultimate. Knocks Kiwi Kid way in. Dashes back out. I think he's going to be okay for that. And now they got to wait on Prolly's ultimate cooldown again.
All right, so just enough wave clear came out from Prolly. So I was wrong. Turret does stay alive. Good defense here by compLexity. 7-1 in turrets. They've done a very good job of keeping their buildings up to code and not having them fall over prematurely here. Mortis just chilling out in the mid lane. MIA and Nick Wu chilling together. Also grouped up here. Looks like this is going to be the next destination for compLexity, is just straight up the middle.
Seems like the next logical choice. They also have a couple wards near Dignitas' inhibitor, so they're going to be able to tell like when people aren't necessarily in turret defense mode. I don't know how aggressive compLexity wants to get here without the Baron. If they lost a fight at this moment, it would pretty much expose the Baron for them later and allow Dignitas to get back in the game. So compLexity is going to be a little bit cautious. They have the bad memories of all the failed finishing attempts. They've pretty much gotten there at this point. I mean, even though Brunchu is like 80 minion kills down on I'mACutiePie, he's got 1,000 more gold than them, and that just goes to show how many dragons they've gotten, how many assists he's been parts of, how many kills he's gotten, and just how much compLexity has been winning this game overall.
Certainly they are winning right now. They're looking to try to push that lead out further. Wu, Brunchu, and the rest of the crew are chilling up here, trying to push in. They've got another minion wave. No Baron buff that will be coming up in the next 30 seconds for them if they want it. The inhibitor going to take some damage. Brunchu gets hit a little bit hard. Comes doesn't find much harass. They're just playing the siege game once again.
And they got a pretty good spot here. I mean, the thing they got to watch out for is a flash crescendo catching them in the wrong place, and then the damage fly from I'mACutiePie. Because the one fight compLexity lost was because Brunchu bullet timed in range of I'mACutiePie's auto attacks and got wrecked. I don't think he's going to make that mistake again. So Dignitas in a very tight situation. There's a ghost. They're trying to brute force this.
They're looking for the battle. The box goes down. Probably takes some poke, but here comes the counterattack again. The crescendo blocks out the bullet time, but they've already killed Patoy. What's going to happen next? It's going to be the Cataclysm. He's trying to help the team out. Kiwi Kid is going to go down. Still no one gone for compLexity, and Dignitas are on the ropes. They're running away. 3v5. compLexity still has control. Will they go for inhibitor? Will they go for Baron? They've run towards what looks like Baron.
compLexity completely zoned out Dignitas' backline in that fight. It allowed Brunchu to do work and get some of the damage out. I'mACutiePie had no access to Brunchu, and they won that fight pretty substantially. At this point, they're going to burst down this Baron, I think, pretty quickly. Dignitas looks like they've lost another one.
This is going to be theirs almost unanswered. It's just like so many dragons this game so far. The neutral monsters have gone to compLexity without Dignitas so much as trying. That early game lead just feeding so much for them. Scar trying to hold down this mid lane. Of course, top did not go down, and the bottom inhibitor will eventually come back up. We'll see if that's going to be enough for Dignitas here, as the red buff and blue buff both getting stolen away by compLexity.
So compLexity is going to have a lot of power the next time they push in, and I think this is something that Dignitas probably saw coming a little bit, and that's why they forced the fight. Like, it didn't work out for them necessarily, but they knew that compLexity would be able to take fairly good Baron control, and if you start dealing with vision around Baron when you're against a Gragas and a Thresh, you're probably going to lose a fight quite badly, unless something miraculous happens. So Dignitas rolled the dice, they took their chances with that fight, and they lost. And then, because they lost, they just ended up giving up the Baron. So I don't expect Dignitas to take this one lightly. I think during the next inhibitor siege, they're going to fight again, and I think compLexity will have a good chance in that, but that's just the chance that they're really going to have to take, and we could see an explosive ending to this game.
We'll see what the ending ends up being here. It's Nick Wu and Laudamortis sieging once again in the top lane, and the rest of compLexity are soon to meet them here. Rendezvous right up in this spot. Probably does have teleport, but he's going to make his way up in the near future. And so, of course, is the rest of Dignitas. They are going to fight for this inhibitor. 5v5, heads up. We'll see what happens. The bottom inhib should be coming back in the near future. Scar takes some poke. Being healed up by Patoy, though. We'll see if it's enough. Probably looks for more poke. Just finding minions so far.
And look at this. The 5-man global split push comp of Dignitas is all crowded around their last inhibitor, so they don't have Kiwi Kid off split pushing. It's not possible at this point. They land Thresh hooks and get a lot of poke down onto Crumbs. They're just cycling between mid and top, trying to see where they can get the edge. And I think if a Thresh hook lands on a priority target, it's go time, or Dignitas is just going to decide and go, wow, look at that poke.
Oh my gosh, it pushes everyone back, and then it actually makes Dignitas run back enough. They find some turret pressure, but Kiwi Kid comes back in. They get the turret, but they're low on health. He actually just goes all the way in. Laudamortis in the middle of the enemy team. He finds Scar. Zonius comes across. There's Crescendo as well. Bullet time, and that's going to be the last pick up the kill for Laudamortis. Now Crumbs in the middle, slowed by body slam. time. He's going to be going down. They find Cutie Pie as well. 3, 4 for nothing. compLexity looking for the next inhibitors. Crumbs left the game. Double kill for Nick Wu. This is GG. compLexity has found their first win in Super Week. That is an amazing start for them.
Awesome stuff. They closed the game, they got the pressure, and they just rolled through Dignitas in that last team fight. Loudamortis got farm in that game, so he could be the one tank, and compLexity could follow in behind him. compLexity needs a miracle this week. Started off well.